Hi, everyone. Welcome to our August CXCOP. I'm Candace Thorson, Managing Editor of GovLoop. I'm your facilitator, moderator today. So while everybody is joining, before we get into the substance of the conversation, if you want to put in the chat where you're coming from, that would be awesome. We often get people from all over the world even, so I think that's really neat. And also, Missouri. That's cool. Yeah, people join from all over the place. I'm from like upstate-ish New York, so like about 2.5 hours. Oh, Washington, D.C., Dallas. Um, yeah, I'm in New York, Washington State, Washington State, New Jersey. Where in New Jersey? San Antonio, Sacramento, Oregon. This is great. Our topic today is balancing efficiency and CX, so strategies for success. But before we get into it, oh, Trenton, okay. I grew up in Bergen County. Um, so we have an icebreaker today. So in addition to putting in, where you're from and such, if you just want to answer, so far this summer, what's something enjoyable that you've done? It could be a vacation you took. It could be you read an awesome book or something, or you met with people you haven't in a while, or anything at all. What's something fun or enjoyable that you've done? Oh, went to Tokyo. Wow. That sounds like a once in a lifetime trip. Oh, Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, Charleston is nice. Um, so in a little while, I'm going to be going, well, not today, but I'm going to, oh, spending time with family. Yeah. This is very cool. Took your toddler to the local pool. Oh, that's neat. Costa Rica. Oh, wow. Whitewater rafting. I've never done that. That's very cool. Pony pet vacate, paddle boarding. Ooh, Disney Plus. Oh, that's neat. Spending time with family. Sometimes the most enjoyable things um, are just really surviving the heat. I think that qualifies. We'll just give everybody like a minute or so more. Oh, a lobster roll in Boston. They're famous for that. Yeah. Community pool. When I grew up, there was a community pool my family and I always went to, and I have great memories from that. Okay. Visit youngest daughter. Oh, that's really nice. Italy and Greece. Oh, that's very cool. So while you're putting, you can still feel free to put in, your enjoyable things and stuff and where you're coming from. But we'll get started with the content. We're talking about balancing efficiency and success, like I said. And sometimes we have the best lofty CX goals in mind and great plans and such, but actually planning something and being able to implement it in an effective way with whatever resources you have are they're totally different things. So we have with us somebody who definitely knows his way around the government IT world, Bill Kehoe. He is for the last, I think, almost exactly 4 years, right? He has been Washington State's Chief Information Officer and Agency Director of WATEC, or Washington Technology Solutions, which is an agency that's formed from merging several other agencies. Before that, he was CIO of LA County, which is the largest county in the country, and he was CIO of King County, Washington, and CIO of Washington State's Department of Licensing. So you really have the CIO position nailed down. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. First of all, taking some time with us. Um, we might as well. Oh, go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to thank you for the introduction, and it's great to be here. This is a really important topic, and I'm looking forward to having the discussion.
Yeah, and Washington has been doing some great things, so we'll give you an opportunity to talk about that a little bit later. But just to start out and just start laying the groundwork, why is it so hard for a lot of agencies to balance efficiency and effectiveness when they're trying to improve their CX, implement CX goals?
Well, I don't know whether it's hard. I think there's probably everyone on here probably has a interest and a desire to serve their customers in the best way possible. Um, and all agencies, all governments have a customer base that they serve. And I think we all have a goal to continually assess and identify areas that we can improve. I would say that what happens is that we may get lulled into sleep a little bit, thinking that we're serving our customers and they're happy, but we don't really understand the experience. And I think that's where Washington is trying to change our mindset around that. Is we have emphasized CX in our IT enterprise strategic plan, for instance. We have a goal number one, which is to create a government experience that leaves no community behind. And that's one of our most important goals because we have to serve the entire state. In government, our customer base isn't a narrow set of residents within a state, it's the entire state. And so we have to have CX goals for all of our channels, whether it's in the office or chat or websites, whatever it may be. We have to make sure that all of our customers can participate, and accessibility is a big part of that as well. Um, so we want to be that trusted digital government that creates an experience for our residents that does not leave them behind, unable to get the services that they need. So I think, prioritizing your IT strategic plan or your strategic plan within your organization is really important. I've always said that, in the private sector, if you don't serve your customers well, you probably will go out of business. And
Yeah.
in the public sector, um, we won't go out of business necessarily, but we won't be able to provide the services that our residents, in some cases, desperately need, and that's not okay. And we want to avoid that at all costs. So I think, prioritizing your strategic plan, having some intentional leadership in place, is really, really important. Um, and then I think you can't focus on one customer channel over at the expense of another. As I said, we have to serve all of our residents. Some of our residents want to come into office or have to come into an office. We need to make sure that that channel is performing at a high rate as well as our digital experiences, phone, etc. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, all that I think is kind of the groundwork that we're trying to do in Washington. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, you have to pursue the outcomes that you want, which is the effectiveness part, where the efficiency is how well are you doing it and what kind of investments do you have to make.
You were talking about Washington. I like your point too about not being able, essentially not being able to choose your customers. Like it's not like a business. You can figure out who you want to appeal to. Government has to appeal to everybody and service everybody. But you were mentioning what Washington is doing. So why don't we skip ahead and kind of tell everybody a little bit about what your state is doing because you're doing some neat things. So kind of
Sure.
like yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think we're intentionally leaning into the customer experience, and that starts with our new governor. Governor Ferguson has made it very clear that he wants the customer experience to be as seamless as possible. He has an executive order out around streamlining the permitting process, for instance. So really focusing on the customer experience. And so we've had to ask ourselves, do we really understand the customer experience and where we're going with that? And do we understand it to the point where we're actually asking our customers the experience that they're receiving? And are we measuring that experience? Are we getting constant do we have processes and technology in place to get a constant feedback loop? So those are the things that we're trying to do is really get feedback on how the customer experience is in these various channels that we're in. And we're in a budget crisis in Washington. We have a large deficit. in our budget, and that's cyclical, depending on the year. And
Yeah.
oftentimes when you get into these budget cycles, you have tough choices to make around, customer experience and can we really afford to make improvements? And our stance on that is, that's when we really have to lean into the customer experience and find things that maybe don't cost a lot, to improve that experience and prioritize those, over other things. So, we're doing a lot in that area to set up, our user-centered design, human-centered design practice, making sure that we're understanding where we need to improve, setting up the technology and the platforms to measure and get that constant feedback. And then the other thing that we've been working on for a while is our resident portal, which
Mm.
that one front door to government services for the state. And we're a very federated state, so we have a lot of services that are within agencies, and it creates problems for our residents when they want to uh, go to one place and answer questions once, put in information once, and then receive the services they need or navigate to the service they need. And that's difficult in the way we're structured today. So we've been working on a resident portal and along with that, a new identity and access management system to align with that, and then deprecate our existing Secure Access Washington portal that has been problematic for our customers. So that's one of the key projects that we're working on right now.
Yeah, the single portal I think is wonderful because I think everybody has enough passwords in their in the private world that they have to deal with, and keep track of, that you don't need more passwords, like multiple passwords for government services and such. But you were mentioning about like some of the things that you do that were I don't know if low cost is the right way to put it, but some of the simpler things. So what are some of the things that you're implementing that are more I guess less, I don't want to say sophisticated, but would have less budgetary implications maybe for an agency that's got fiscal concerns.
Yeah, so I think one of the areas I wanted to talk about today was our approach to modernization, and I think that will answer some of your questions. But in terms of the simple things, I think we're really leaning into accessibility. We can't serve all our customers if our digital services aren't accessible.
Yeah.
And that's not just so we're compliant with the DOJ expectation, but that's just something we should do as a government, is to ensure that all of our services are accessible. And when you have 20 to 25% of your customer base that has some sort of disability that makes it difficult for them to access government services, we need to pay attention to that, since we have a principle around serving all of our residents. So we're doing a lot of assessing especially our digital services, our websites, ensuring that they're accessible, adding in things like language translation,
Mm.
really important, and looking to see how we can improve upon that. That's another accessibility type of initiative that you can do. And then adding
Mm.
in, utilizing AI with chatbots and some other technology. I wouldn't say that's necessarily simple, but it's definitely a technology that you can add on to existing websites or portals as well. So those are some of the simple things we're doing, but I think the simplest thing we're doing is asking our customers what their experience is and what the experience is that they'd like to have. And we call that, human-centered design, but it's really changing the mindset of designing with them and not for them. I think what
Yeah.
we've fallen into a trap at times in government is that we know what our residents, what our customers need, but we never really ask them. And now that's shifted with human-centered design principles to let's design with them, let's ask them, let's understand where their pain points are and how we can design things so that they can have a great experience with the state of Washington. I've often coined the term, and I often get some interesting reactions when I say this, but we want to be the Amazon Prime of government. We,
I like that.
that's what our residents are experiencing in their personal lives. They go to Uber, they go to Amazon Prime, whatever it is, and all the friction is on the back end. They don't experience the friction on the front end. And that's what
Right.
we're trying to do, right? Is right now we have too much friction for our residents and our customers on the front end and not on the and and we want to take that away, put that on the back end. That's why this resident portal concept is so key for us. That they can come into one place where they can get authenticated. We can personalize the experience based on their past searches and services that they've received. And they can quickly get to where they need to go to get the services they need.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
And if Washington State winds up being like Amazon Prime, that'll be huge because that's whatever happens on the back end, it is a huge savings for. I mean, it is there's a reason it's popular. But you
Well,
mentioned,
yeah, that's a big problem today, right? Is
yeah,
depending on the different age groups as well. They go to government sites and it's like, what is this? This doesn't look like
yeah,
anything that I'm working with in my personal life. Why
yeah,
can't government do this? What's the problem? And
yeah,
and I think there's all kinds of reasons for that
yeah.
constraints,
I'll,
but I think we need to get over that and find out a way to break that divide, if you will.
yeah. I'll tell you, my mother, if she has to go on a government website for something, that's one thing. If she has to go and order something from Amazon, that she's got down. So, so, so just as an aside.
Yeah.
But you mentioned modernization, and we talked about this a little bit before the call today. But you're saying that modernization, what we think of as a modernization project, isn't what it used to be. So, how is that true? And then how does that affect CX? Like, why is that an opportunity for CX?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
It
This
was
is
an interesting topic. I enjoyed
yeah,
it.
this is exciting for us because I think we've often thought of modernization as just replacing old systems, and that's modernization, and it's not at all, right? You can replace an old system and still have old business processes and old ways of serving your customer, and now you're just sticking a brand new system in the middle of that, hoping that things work out. And that's not modernization. So I'm seeing a great shift in our state, and I'm seeing this elsewhere as well, and how we're approaching modernization, and that it's no longer just replacing an outdated legacy system like a mainframe or old technology, outdated technology. It's a multi-discipline philosophy that starts with the customer service. And that's important because we haven't done that in the past. It's like, just give me a new system and I'll be fine, right? That's what the business would say. Give me a new system. But we're starting with a customer, and we're looking to see through human-centered design, what do we need to modernize and change for their experience, and then how does that translate back to technology and business process and data, et cetera. Um, and so we never have really started there before. That was kind of the where we ended. Now we're starting there through this modernization methodology, and that's transformed how we think about modernization. And as I said, we've shifted from we know what our customers need to let's go ask our customers their experience, understand their pain points, and have them help us design a better experience. And that's really a mindset shift. I think that maybe in the private sector, that's natural. but that's a shift for some government entities. And so modernization involves a lot of different components, starting with the customer experience, but we also have a practice now of journey mapping, or it's really used to be called business process transformation, but we call it journey mapping.
Hmm.
And that's so important because you have to transform your business processes in addition to your technology, in addition to
Yeah.
your customer, the way you're doing customer service. If you don't do that, then you're going to have problems. And so that also brings in our business customers into the projects at an early site, right? There's no, let's just call it a technology project. These are not technology projects. These are business transformation projects. And so bringing in the business, doing those as is and to be journey maps that also align data and systems along the way and pick up customer sentiment. So journey mapping is a new discipline that we've incorporated. We've
Mm.
also incorporated this concept that everyone is moving to, I think, which is Agile and Scrum, and that we can't wait around for 5 to 7 years to get a project in production, and we can incrementally, through a waved approach, capability focused approach, implement um, implement things that along the way, and then integrate with technology in the back end. And
Yeah.
and so that's also helped us move away from this mindset of, it's going to take 5, 7 years, 10 years, whatever, which is where projects go to die and fail, to more of, hey, what can we do with an MVP type of concept and get something into production that gives our customers fast improvements to their experience, um, while also then changing the business process and aligning that as well. So this concept of incremental waved approach, capability based implementations with Agile is really important. And then I think we're also bringing along our procurement strategy. Procurement in government has always been problematic, both from industry
Mm.
partner perspective, and I think what we're seeing is some new and innovative approaches, like competitive procurements where we have challenge statements versus thousands of requirements, et cetera. That's important. So these are some of the things. There's more components, like the data strategy piece of modernization, that's so important. We often forget about that, but we
Yeah.
can't forget about data. It's our number two goal in our IT strategic plan, is that we need data to get those insights into how our customers are consuming the service, their level of satisfaction. But we also need data if we're going to create things like portals, where we need to share data across the enterprise. And that's been traditionally difficult for governments as well. So those are some of the things around our modernization strategy. And then, of course, CX is a big part of that. And then using emerging technology like AI and other technologies to assist in that in today's environment is also something we're doing.
How long, because I know your strategy is a lot of components to it. How long has your strategy been in place, or since when have you when was it developed? Do you know what I mean? I want to make sure I
I
phrase
think
it right.
we're seeing this more in the last few years, because we used to have in Washington this concept of, well, through our budget process, we have a project that's a single project aligned to an agency.
Hmm.
And what that created was more silos, especially on
Yeah.
the customer experience side. And so now we're seeing more horizontal projects, if you will, that span multiple agencies or span the entire enterprise. And that requires this modernization methodology, um, because now you're dealing with a customer base that's more statewide, than just a single agency customer base.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Um,
that's been a difficult thing because we're so federated
yeah.
in Washington, but it's also driven changes in our workforce, and we've had to train a lot of our workforce into these new areas, whether it be agile or human-centered design, business process, journey mapping, data, OCM, budgeting, contracts, all that is changing through this modernization philosophy.
How is that going? Because I think when people think about CX and other things that training in, for instance, journey mapping, or I'm not sure that people realize the workforce implications. So has there been pushback, I guess, or how has that played out as far as retraining and
Yeah,
such?
it is. It has been tough. I think it's a big change for not only how we're approaching projects, but the skill sets that we need to be successful on these modernization projects. And it's creating an environment where we have to retrain our staff in these areas because what they're doing today isn't necessarily what they're going to be doing in the future. So
Yeah.
that part I think has been exciting for some. Um, but this multi-agency perspective is also difficult because agencies were used to working on projects within their own agency. And now these projects span multiple agencies or span the enterprise. And so now we're talking about getting staff moved into these modernization projects that may take them outside of their agency efforts, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of their comfort zone too, I imagine.
Yeah,
So,
and we've had to hire, we have to transform how we're hiring, make sure we have the right job families and update those. A lot more cloud-based type of skill sets that we need. Architecture is really important, integration, data. And so we've really had to look at where we have opportunities to hire and make sure that we're hiring for the right skill set.
yeah. I can't believe I just looked at my clock and I can't believe we're running out of time.
What?
But
Really?
if I'm sorry, what?
You were out of time already? We just
I
got
know we have
started.
like 3 minutes or something.
Oh my God.
Uh, um, but so if you had for agencies that are, they're trying to do the right thing with CX, but they have it's there's a lot to it and such. What best practices do you suggest, or what kind of advice, or even things should they not do? Like what pitfalls should they avoid when it comes to trying to do better CX, based on your experience in Washington State and such?
Well, I guess I'll be brief since we have 2 minutes left. Well, we've pivoted to, in our agency, WATEC, Washington Technology Solutions, we've actually reorged around CX to a great degree. We've created a whole new division in our organization called digital experience. And really that's incorporated what used to be primarily web development. It was a very successful team in with our identity and access management group and also um, our resident portal. So we have new positions now, like a chief digital experience officer, a resident
Hmm.
portal manager, identity and access management manager. And so we're combining what used to be these single services around mostly around websites, and IAM was more in another division, and we're bringing them all together around the digital experience. So that's one thing that I would encourage everyone to look at is how you're organized. Are you truly organized around CX in the right way? Because a lot of organizations are really transforming their organizations around CX. Um, that's important. And then I would also say that, it's got to be intentional from the top in terms of leadership, um, really emphasizing the importance of CX and then setting up the metrics and how you're going to measure that and getting things in place, whether that be technology and ways that you're measuring the customer experience and where they're experiencing the pain points so that you can quickly identify those and make adjustments.
That's great. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry the time ran out so short, but I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, and thanks so much for everybody for joining. I do have just a couple of quick housekeeping things. Our next CX community of practice is going to be on Monday, as always, and it's going to be September 8th at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about how a little empathy can improve CX. I think a little empathy could improve a lot, but in specific to CX, I'm looking forward to that conversation. If you want to be a COP speaker or have suggestions for one, just let us know. You can email me at candace.thorson@govloop.com. My email's down in that last bullet. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out, so make sure that you get that and check that out because there are great resources there. We also have a LinkedIn group, and you can, please join that. Encourage your colleagues if you want. And the idea is to share your perspectives, articles, etc. And if you have topic ideas that you'd like us to talk about, then feel free to email me as well, and we'll look into it because we want to serve your interests. But thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Bill. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their summer and gets to do even more enjoyable things. And just we appreciate everything you do all the time. Thanks, everybody.